Welcome to the Mindset with Morgan podcast. I am so grateful you're here. I'm Morgan, and I am a multiple seven-figure entrepreneur who adores all things business. I love building great teams and great companies who benefit the world. I've been building and running startups for nearly 15 years and have learned a few things along the way. I'm a teacher by heart, and I'm so excited to share with you. I'm also human, and I need a good pick-me-up and mindset shift before meetings, tough conversations, and sometimes just on my morning commute. My hope is that you can use this podcast as a quick mindset reset before you start your day or whenever you need a mindset shift. I also love a good funny story with a helpful lesson involved, and that is what you'll get here. Now let's learn, grow, and have a few laughs. And welcome. So I had a really great idea today of sitting outside. It's sunny and like 90 degrees, and I love sitting in the hot sun. It's one of my favorite things. And I went outside, and the sound of the birds and the just noises and dogs barking and things like that, I did a test little recording, and it was extremely loud. So I am inside on a beautiful day recording because I have a deadline and I got things to do. Good lesson for everyone really is you just got to make it happen. And you might have an idea of how you want things to go, but I made a promise to myself. When you make a promise to yourself, it is the most important thing to keep it, because subconsciously, when we make a promise to ourselves, even something like, I'm not going to eat sweets today, if you break the promise, you give yourself permission to break promises in the future, and you will subconsciously learn to not trust yourself as much or take your promises seriously. So one thing I'm trying really hard to do, and I encourage you to do, is when I make a promise to myself, it could be so simple. I'm going to drink 4 bottles of water today, whatever it is. I really try hard to keep those promises. And really, you guys, I feel so much better about myself as a person, as a leader, as a boss, as a wife, as a parent, everything. I feel better about myself when I keep those promises to myself. It's crazy. It's actually one of the biggest things you can do for yourself is just keep those promises. So anyway, today we are going to be talking about how to make everybody on your team an A player. So what I mean by that is it's kind of twofold. The first part I want to talk about is how to really help people grow for themselves. And we'll dive deeper into that on another podcast. I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about it today. And the second part is how to give everyone realistic goals without making everybody need to be a superstar. And I'll dive into that. So the first part I want to talk about is the fact that not everybody wants to be a superstar, and you can help everybody on your team grow. If you are in management of any sort, even if you're a supervisor, if you even could be a parent, if you oversee anybody on a team or have a small business, whatever that looks like, you need to remember that not everybody wants to be the rock star, the superstar. And that can be a really hard thing to realize, because if you're in the management position of leadership, if you're the business owner, it's hard for you to understand because you're probably an achiever. That's why you're in the position that you're in. That's why you're listening to a podcast about motivation. But not everybody wants to do. Some people just want to do their job and be done. And I learned this lesson really kind of hit me like a brick when I was a really new leader. I had hired my initial staff at brunch. We had been operating for a few months, and I naturally, as a crazy achiever, just assumed that I'd only want achievers to work for me, and that could not be further from the truth. There was one particular guy, and he's literally our longest standing employee to this day, but I almost lost him. One particular guy who was really good at making omelets. He was the omelet master. And I had given him some goals and more responsibility, and he kind of became our most tenured employee pretty quickly. And I met with him one day and I said, you don't seem to be wanting to take on more responsibility. And he literally told me, I don't want more responsibility. I don't want to be a leader. I just want to make my omelets and go home. And initially I thought, well, wow, I guess this guy isn't the guy I thought he was. But he and I had a conversation face to face at my desk. I can picture it like it was yesterday. And I said to him, why don't you want to be the manager of your department? Like I'd really, love that to be you. You know more than anybody else. You've been here the longest. And he said, no one's ever asked me that before. But really, I love what I do. I love what I do. I'm good at it. And I just want to go home after, and I don't want to be responsible for other people. And he has been in that role for almost a decade. And I could have lost him by promoting him when he didn't want to, or by not asking the question. And I have done that. I have promoted people because I had this false sense that I saw something in them that they didn't see in themselves, and they were the best at blank. And we often tend to think that the person best at blank should be the manager of blank. But that is not always the case. And it takes just sitting down and asking the person what they want. What do they want their day to look like? What do they love to do? And if they don't know, have them take a test like Strengths Finders or Enneagram and help them start to learn about themselves and what they're good at, because that is a gift that stays with them forever. When you help somebody discover their strengths, whether they're with your team or not in the next few years, that is a gift that will never be able to be taken away from them. And I'm always so honored to be able to help an employee or a team member learn about themselves, because they become better because of it. And it helps you as a leader get them where they want to go. If somebody wants to be a gas station attendant for the rest of their lives, I say, go to town. Do it. And how amazing if that is what fulfills them, and that is what they are the best at, and that is using their natural God-given strengths. We all have a different idea of what things are supposed to look like. And I think as leaders, as achievers, we tend to try to push people in directions that they may not want to go. We might want them to go there, but that may not be where they want to go. So as a leader, make sure you are meeting with your team one-on-one regularly and asking them these questions. Where do they want to go? What are they good at? What do they love most about their job? And help them do more of that, because when people are good at what they do, they typically enjoy it and thrive in it. So you gotta it's actually pretty simple. You just ask the questions. And a lot of times people say, well, I don't need to have a monthly meeting with this person because I see them every day. It's different. Sitting across a table from somebody and purposefully talking to them about their role and how they're doing is very different than chit-chat throughout the day, even if you literally sit next to the person. It's different. Trust me. The second part I want to talk about is how to motivate people no matter what. Whether they're on a fast track to be a leader or not, what is one way you can give people something to look towards and have a goal towards that's measurable? And the concept I want to talk about with that is called Ferriter's ladder. I have a blog post about it. You can check it out. Ferriter's ladder, we'll also link that in the episode. Ferriter's ladder is a concept that was introduced to me back, I would say probably 15 years ago, when I was in the corporate world for the first time. And another manager from another department shared it with me, and I've still struggled to find it. I don't know who Ferriter is, but I love his ladder, and I think it's been one of the most used tools in my businesses since I learned about it that day. And it's come in and out of my businesses as I remember it, and I get on this kick of teaching everyone about it, and then I don't. But literally, I recently was teaching someone about it, and I saw it's the background of his computer now. So here's what it is. It's 4 levels that you can help people move up the ring or the rung of the ladder. So the bottom part of the ladder is the first level, right? And I call this like number 4 if you want to put numbers on it. I love being able to measure things. I think that's so helpful. But I'm a super left brain person. If you're right brained, you can look at the picture and that might, really do it for you, but that will also be linked in this episode. So the bottom rung, level 4, are your problem makers. These are your employees who make problems. The nice thing about this rung of the ladder is it's super easy to identify. We get rid of them, man, write them up, they cause problems, bam, there we are. Okay, what's the next level? Your next level and these get harder to identify and train, right? As that would make sense, right? Number 3 are your problem identifiers. These people can seem kind of helpful in the beginning, but tend to get pretty annoying after a little bit of time. Your problem identifiers are very good at doing just that, telling you what is wrong, identifying problems. At first, this person can be really helpful because you're like, wow, you identified so many things. But when they start showing up with all these problems and no solutions, it can be pretty frustrating. And as a manager, these problem identifiers can quickly take over and make you feel stressed and like a failure because they're not thinking for themselves. They're not coming up with ideas. They're just identifying problems. That's level 3. When you can move somebody from rung of the ladder number 3 to 2, which we're going to talk about in a second, things really, really begin to change and improve. So what is the next rung up? The next rung up is your problem solvers. These people are amazing, right? They solve problems. They identify problems and then they solve them for you. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is magical, right? This person solves problems. Now this can be very tricky because a lot of us get stuck in this rung, sometimes forever. You guys, I spent probably a decade in this rung. And when I switched my mindset to go to the first one, which is a practice, and we'll talk about it, it literally changes everything. It's hard, but it's fun. So number 2, your problem solvers. Here's the issue with staying in problem solving mode. New problems always come up. So if you are solving problems, what happens is you continue to solve the same problems over and over and over again. But since those new problems are going to continue to come up, now you have your old problems that you're still solving every day and your new problems. And eventually you have so many problems that you can't deal with them all. That is why you cannot live in this problem solver mode. So if you have a team member who's a level 2, pushing them from 2 to 1 or 3 to 2, right? This gives people, no matter what area of your company or your team they're on, you can push them to be a level 1. So what is number 1? This is your problem preventer. This is my favorite thing to think about when I have a problem come my way. I have a saying in my companies: if you have solved a problem more than 3 times, it is now your fault. Take ownership of the problems you are solving. I hate when people say, not my monkey, not my problem, circus or whatever, or that's not my job, or this is above my pay grade. Like, no. If you want to be any sort of leader, if you want to grow, you need to own the problems you are solving and do something about it. It takes initially solving it, right? A lot of times, priority number 1 is solving the problem. Okay, take care of that today. But tomorrow comes, right? The next few days. Put some time in your calendar to sit and figure out how to prevent the problem from happening in the future. It's going to take some time. You're going to take a lot of time preventing problems. But here's the thing. You start clearing them off and they don't come back. Now, how do you prevent problems? Well, let's say this person who sends you a report every single week is constantly missing a part of the report or it's incorrect, right? To prevent the problem, you need to go to the source and figure out why this person thinks it's acceptable to send you a report with incorrect information. Maybe their custom report is configured wrong and pulling the wrong data. Maybe they were trained on it and this is how we've always done it and no one corrected them. There could be a bazillion different reasons. Maybe they're downloading the wrong report. Maybe the report is messed up a little bit and downloading, the wrong field. And literally the field is named very similar to another field and they just have to switch it. Like literally, it could be anything. But preventing problems takes time. It takes sometimes investing in a new technology, or sitting and teaching someone something, making a new training guide or a playbook. We're going to have a whole podcast on playbooks. I love playbooks. Maybe it's having a really difficult conversation with somebody. Maybe it's firing somebody. Maybe it's writing somebody up. Maybe it's hiring somebody. There is always a way to prevent the problem. Now, it's simple, but it's not easy. It often takes implementing or changing the way something's been done for a long time, which can take buy-in, which takes people, which takes convincing, which takes getting people to buy in, which takes you being persuasive, right? And helping them see why it's better for everyone that this is done correctly or whatever it may be. That's why I say it's simple, it's not easy. But to prevent problems, you need to take action and make real change by digging down deep into the root of why something is happening and then come up with a plan to do something about it. And that is the pathway you can take all of your team members on. So what I recommend you do is take your roster, your list of all the people you manage, everyone on your team, everyone around you, whatever it may be, and rank them 4, 3, 2, or 1. And if they're a 4, get them to a 3 or get rid of them. If they're problem makers, that might not ever change, but I do like to give everyone a second chance. Take them from a 3 to a 2 to a 1. Don't skip rungs, right? But help them, show them Ferriter's ladder, and help them get from one number to the next. And you guys, it will change everything in your business when you start preventing problems. I hope this was helpful. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.